Hello, IFW sisters, IWF sisters, and welcome to Behind Her Bio, where I will be asking questions to uncover the personal and unique stories of the women of IWF. I will be asking the same set of questions, bringing out distinct narratives that highlight our shared journeys and common ground, allowing us to discover the richness of our humanity as women, the sameness of our humanity as women, and what it is that connects us, empowers us, and creates powerful collective experiences for us. Today, I am getting behind the bio of Kendra M. Coleman. She is president of Kindred Organizational Consulting, Inc., or KOC, which is a global organization change and leadership consultancy with an approach that centers on working with leaders to achieve genuine, sustainable business results that add value to their professional and life experiences. Based in Chicago, KOC focuses on leadership, team, organization, and culture development in organizations. And Kendra often says helping leaders gain deeper awareness about their ways of working and thinking and how both impact their effectiveness is a lot of fun for her and insightful for them. With 20 years of experience, Kendra has worked in a variety of sectors, including manufacturing, fast-moving consumer goods, hydroengineering, education, and international finance institutions, just to name a few. She has a master's in organizational development and change from American University and a bachelor's degree in sociology from UC Berkeley. Believing it's important to be a scholar and a practitioner, Kendra has published various articles on the topic of change in human dynamics. She was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, and travels back to see family there regularly. Her father was in the Air Force, and as a result, Kendra moved quite a bit while growing up and continues to enjoy personal travel as well as travel for work. She is married and has a daughter. And now, with that, we are going to get deeper and more behind her bio. Hello, Kendra.
Hi, Kalila.
So good to have you. I am actually just going to jump right into the questions so we can get behind your bio and understand a little bit more about who you are and find out more than what we can find on LinkedIn. So starting with, because I know this isn't on LinkedIn, what's the weirdest thing that you keep by your bed?
The weird. I was like, weird. The weirdest thing. Okay, well, if I had to
Or
go with a
different. I
weird,
don't know if it has to be weird, but maybe
no,
surprising.
I'm happy to go with weird.
Okay.
Go with the weird. Well, okay, maybe so the weirdest thing would be I've got this uh head massager thing, and like you pull the prongs out, and if anyone doesn't know what it is, it'd be very disturbing probably for people to see, but you use it and it kind of clenches your head and it actually feels better than it looks. Like, and it massages your scalp and your temples and stuff. So that's in the drawer beside my bed, and I'll get it out on rare occasion because I usually forget that it's there, but that's probably the weirdest looking
I was gonna
thing. And
say it
then
probably it feels essential, but just maybe weird looking.
yes, weird looking thing, but essential. But the strangest thing, because I was kind of looking around in the drawer, and I noticed that I had my ribbon from my wedding dress in the drawer, the one that I like kind of like tied around my waist just to add some color,
I
because
love
that's how
that.
casual I am. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's where that is.
What color is it?
It's like a wine red.
Oh, I love that. So you had white with a splash of red for your wedding.
Well, more like a cream, but
Cream.
yes,
Okay.
with a splash of red and then also with rose pink, like
That's-
rose gold, yeah, or mauve, even mauve.
Yes. See, now I feel like when we post this, we should have your wedding picture so people can know what that ribbon is. That's in the drawer next to your bed.
All important tie. So important. Dashed it on the side of my bed that's been sitting there for, I think I've been married for years. I don't know. I have to wait, 2018. Okay, there you go. So we gotta both do the math. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Oh my goodness. Those, I mean, it's definitely different. And I love the story behind both. And I feel like the head massager is something we all should go to Amazon and look for. I would love that. I'm gonna get it for my son actually, because he loves his head
Yeah.
massage.
Oh,
He
I love that.
requested so to give him
Oh,
something
well, then
on his own. See,
that you don't.
I'm
I'm happy
always
to help.
learning something in these conversations. Good. We think of you as an everyday hero, which is a woman who shows up and champions those around her without hesitation or fear of competition. Often, we place limits on how we define the heroes in our lives. So I'm curious, who are the heroes that you encounter every day and how do they inspire you?
I literally just got off of a call, my husband and I, with Miss Gigi. And Miss Gigi is one of our daughter's teachers. Our daughter is 5, and
Mm-hmm.
she is incredible. You know, the children in my daughter's class last year had a lot of change. There was a lot of change in the teaching staff, and it really impacted the kids. They were so boisterous, wild, and um, like we parents were becoming concerned, and it was just incredible. We had a 2-week break as they transitioned grades. And then when on day 2, I walked into that classroom and I could just feel the difference.
Mm.
Gigi and the teaching team, they're incredible. And it's their love of the children, their talent, their attentiveness to the community,
Mm.
their understanding that the children, each child, like is a whole holistic being in and of themselves.
Love
And
that.
all of that is so evident in the way that they do everything. So we have immense gratitude toward her and the teaching team and what they're doing for our children. And children, like they're the basis of they're the world. They're what's next.
They are
They
the
deserve
unseen
our
future.
attention.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Like everything we do today, they are carrying that into the future, and who pours into that is always so important. So Miss Gigi is an everyday hero. It sounds like she just brings a lot of passion and intention. And I love when you said she sees the children as whole beings, because that's not always the case. You know, it's usually just, well, you're a 4-year old and this is how you treat
yeah,
4-year olds, versus they do have their own identities that are evolving at that age. And to be able to see that and appreciate that in our young ones is an incredible thing.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's great. I want to meet Miss Gigi. That's awesome. I'm glad your daughter has Miss Gigi in her life. That's great. Um, how does she inspire you?
She well, it's two things at least, but she inspires me to and this might sound a little bit of a story. I taught in between junior year and undergrad and senior year. I was a summer bridge teacher, and you may or may not know what that is, but basically college students going to teach
Right.
middle school children
Mm-hmm.
elsewhere. And I remember I was talking to another teacher who happened to be white, comes from a bit of a different experience, and most of the children that were in summer bridge were black and brown. There was this one kid who was having real difficulty with math, and my colleague, her answer was, "Oh, let's just let him go. Let's just let him, it's hard for him. So we'll just, let's just help him to feel good." And I was like, "No, let's not. Let's get him
Mm-hmm.
in here. Let's offer support. Tell him that he can come in, yes, during recess, and we will help him to see that he can do this. And yes, he's got to do the extra work."
Yes.
And it felt like the right answer. And I'm like, we are not coddling these children. And going back to answer your question, what inspires me about Miss Gigi is she is a beautiful balance of firmness and love, and it's all love. And I'm
Yeah.
like, sometimes the way that express love is by letting people know that I've got you, you've got you, let's do this. And she
Yeah.
does that with these children. And they love it. They love class. They love school. My daughter loves it. They play hard. Oh my gosh. So she is a
Oh,
wonderful affirmation of the power and the strength of providing support, setting expectations, holding people. Because even though I'm an adult and you're an adult, I'm
mm-hmm.
like, that we were still live in us. And I think that that's so important to remember. She helps me to think about that.
And carry that into the work that you do every day,
Yes,
right?
totally.
Absolutely. Oh, that's good. I love that. Yes, to Miss Gigi. So Miss Gigi today, and if you could thank one person from your past, who would it be and why?
I'm gonna go a teacher route again because I mean, teachers. I wouldn't be who I am without my father, and some, my grandmother and all those wonderful people who are thankfully still with me, but also some who aren't.
Mhm.
But I'm thinking about Miss Kate Smith, who is the high school counselor of mine. And as you know, I'm a military brat. I moved around. I moved between junior high and high school. So I had entered into this high school new. And like they looked at my scores and stuff, and they put me in like an AP, a lot of AP classes, advanced placement classes, including like this modern European history class. And I was in that class and all the other ones, and I'm like, and they put this huge red book called Palmer, because it was written by someone Palmer. And I
Okay.
looked through it. This book is huge. I thought the teacher was not that engaging and it was boring. I was like, I, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. This isn't for me. And I went and I dropped the class, and I could do it without talking to anyone.
Hmm.
So next thing you know, I'm getting called to the office, and it's Miss Kate Smith calling me in, and she's like, Kendra, you're not dropping this class. And you're also not going to think about dropping this or this or this. And I wasn't necessarily, she's like, no, you're going to go in there and you're going to do this thing. And I definitely felt some resistance, Kalila, but if not for her ability to see something in me, if not for her willingness to say, oh, no, you don't, and be firm with me, I probably would have I would not have had that class. I would have not have gotten the AP credit. I would have not been in a position to get scholarships to Berkeley. It's like people being willing
Mhm.
take us to see me, to take a chance on me. So she's just one of the best examples of that. And she followed me without me having to go and ask her for anything. Um,
Right.
you know,
Right.
she shaped me, she just with her interventions like that.
What I think about too is she was watching you when you didn't know she was watching you, and having faith in your potential, and pushing you past your feelings, because that was a feeling you had, right, about that book, and it's big and it's boring, and she's like, no, I have faith in your potential, and I know what this is going to do for you, even if it's not the best class, persevering through and what that means for you. That's a common thread I see with both of the teachers and people that inspire you, is seeing the whole person and the potential that's there.
Yes,
Again, which is
yes.
work as well. Potential in organizations, right? And the people in the organizations.
So you connect the dots beautifully, and you're gonna.
That's part of what I do. Yes. I love that. So we'll have to thank Miss Kate Smith too. That's definitely a powerful reason to thank her, and how it shows up for us, and how you've shown up for us in this community. So incredible. How did you, Kendra, perceive freedom as a child? And how do you define or seek freedom now?
When I think I don't actually, so I never thought about freedom per se as a child, right?
Mhm.
I didn't think about freedom. However, when you ask the question, I'm like, but I did think about limits. I think I thought about when I was constrained or told I couldn't or wasn't allowed to do certain things. And what I remember most is my dad is, even though he gets on my nerves sometimes, my dad's my bedrock. He's the one, like all my confidence, it comes through him and his line, my grandmother and all of them. And so when my dad set limits and stuff, um, it was frustrating because I heard them and I adhered to them. So and I only felt tension at times where I felt like I could go further than what he was putting forward. And it mostly had to do with him trusting his distrust of the world and how the world would handle me as a young
Yes.
lady,
Yeah.
what I thought I was able to do. So I felt some constraint around that. But I must say, my dad also very much instilled in me independence and confidence. And if I wanted to do something, like I was going to do it. And the good thing for me is I've always been very socially aware, though. It's not like I'm going to do whatever thing I want to do because I want to do it. It's like I'm going to do the thing I want to do, but I'm not going to do something if it's going to cause harm or create churn or concern toward others. I mean, the exceptions would be, I can remember I had a birthday and my friend's family wanted to do something and I forgot about the family thing and I got in trouble for that sort of thing, but it wasn't intentional. You always had to, it was both and. Do what I
Yeah.
want to do. Um, so
And feeling
coming,
confident in what you wanted to do. It sounded like that's, I mean, that's freedom as a young child to feel confident in this is what I want to do and then say I can do it and then proceed with it. Cause I can't say I had that confidence as a young child.
oh,
No,
hmm.
no. Emily said I need to do my own behind her bio. I'm like, that might be the last one because
Well, I
yeah.
was gonna say, and actually it's a really good idea. I don't know how you do it yourself. Maybe you recruit one of the people who've done it, but yeah, you gotta get yours in. You gotta get yours
Yeah.
in. It's not um, but freedom as an adult, the base way that I think about it is I want to, it's similar. It's like I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I don't want to be resource constrained. And I think it's constraint, there's mindset constraint, there's resource constraint, there's systemic constraint. And in terms of like the resource and the mindset, I'm like, I don't want to be constrained ever. And I don't want to be constrained systemically either. And that's part of the reason why I think about what can I do, not just for me, but for other people who are like riding alongside or we're riding together or people that are coming behind me. So freedom is the ability to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And that's not I almost am reluctant to say this, but it's on my heart and mind because of this week. I'm like, not like that asshole who talked about shooting people as he walked down the street because it cannot, it's not about like, I want to do what I want to do because when I think about freedom, Kalila, it's more
Birthright.
about to get to who I want to get to when I want to get to them. That's what it's focused on.
Yes.
It's more about that. How can I do this thing with other people? How can I get to my family when I need to? Like, because they need me. I want to show up immediately. I don't want to have any constraints. How can I do it's always about in service of. So
Yeah.
it's the combination. It's the combination.
And some of that just feels like natural birthrights, right? That we should be entitled to. So making sure we have that and have that personal freedom, right? And the peace that comes with that. Yeah.
Personal freedom and with consideration though, and I don't know how to generalize that, but as I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, everybody can't be running around here doing whatever the hell they want to do whenever they want to do it. Like it can't be that
Sure.
wild.
Yes. In the name of a collective success is how I like to think about it sometimes too. Like, well, how does my personal freedom and my gifts contribute to the collective success of the community?
Yes, that's a very affirming way to put it. And I also think there's something about being considerate about the potential impact and does this cause harm or pain to anybody else and being thoughtful about that. And obviously, I'll make choices to do something and maybe this person would have preferred I do a different thing. And I'm like, they might not like it, but it doesn't cause them harm. So
Right.
that would be an okay scenario. But if I choose to do something that's going to harm someone, I think that's I don't know, that's irresponsible freedom, I
Right.
guess.
Right. Yes. And it impedes I think, the freedom of the community and the freedom of who the community can be. So there's so many, I feel like, directions that we can take what freedom means and how it shows up in the entire ecosystem. And even what you said, I talk to people about too. Like there's a difference in your purpose and living according to purpose and what that means for not being boxed by people's preference and how you live your purpose as well. And that allows for freedom too.
Mhm.
There's always something here where I'm like, that could be yet another conversation that we can have. I'm taking notes of all the different, I feel like, follow-up fireside chats I need to have from these conversations because it's good stuff. Okay, Kendra, what's a personal or hidden passion that drives you, or a story from your life that has shaped you, but is rarely mentioned in your personal narrative?
Yes. Okay. So when I was in undergrad, at Berkeley, I decided I would pursue an honors thesis. And um, the reason I wanted to do this is because I was so curious. And I was curious about what created community and what caused people to want to get involved and activated to make a difference, like in the
Mm.
world. And I'm a
Mhm.
military brat, as I've acknowledged before. And what that means, at least in part, is every 3 to 4 years, we would move, we'd be in community with new people, and we'd get to know each other. We would cook at each other's homes. We'd take care of our shared lawn, if you will, and things like that. So we enter into community pretty quickly, and then we'd move away. And that happened all the time for me.
Yeah.
So it's always been a big theme. And then it's like, how do you get people to care about a community that they may or may not feel a part of? Like I got really, really interested in that. And so I wrote this thesis. I actually went to find, I know exactly where it is. But it was what I decided to explore was I'm really intrigued by these activists who happen to be white. Like what gets them interested in like
Mm.
racial justice? Like this is for for many of them, this isn't like an immediate personal
Exactly.
experience. So I wanted to understand, differentiate, like what got them to be activists versus people who were not. And then I went further and I was like, okay, I want to talk to people who believe in like equality. At the time, equity wasn't like a big word,
Yep.
but I want to talk to people who believe in equality. And I want to understand the difference between the people who believe in equality but don't do anything, and then the people who like make an effort and do a lot. So
Yes.
I did the research, I interviewed like 20 people and stuff. And basically what was born out of it for me was there are a number of points that came out of my research, but it was that when people have visceral experiences, personal experiences, it awakens them to a larger sort of mindset field that activates them in a way that sort of permeates. And that
Mm-hmm.
learning solidified my own lived experience around how personal experiences and how it's impacted me. And I was like, what we need is we continue like I think what we need in this world is we need to have more experiences
Yeah.
where we open not just our minds, because our minds are powerful, but that's not the thing. The thing is the heart. The thing is what we feel and what we believe, and that permeates everything, absolutely everything.
Yes.
So that solidified it for me. And I was like, everything I do, everything I touch, I'm gonna be trying to create experiences, spaces where we can come together and be and learn through these small micro experiences, because we never know what thing, um, what conversation,
That's it.
what
Mm.
experience, what's going to be the thing that ignites something in us. That was my huge takeaway, and I still am so passionate about that. Now it's a key component to the way that we work with clients. It's a key component to the way that I approach engaging,
Yeah.
with people. So
I
yeah.
love that. I don't think in all the times we've talked about business, because that's the key part of mine. And it's one of my personal mantras of life is to be experienced, not achieved. And so when I'm working with clients, it is the experience and especially getting leaders to own the experiences that they create, but also colleagues. Like we're all in this together in this culture, creating an experience which impacts the outcomes, but the experience should be where we start. And so even when I talk about different concepts that drive culture, contextualizing that with different experiences, like you said, because when you can connect your own exposure to something, and even just thinking back to when we talk about belonging, and then I'm going to jump because I could feel my own little TED talk coming on. But everybody's had a moment of loneliness and when they didn't feel like they belong. And we tie it a lot to race and gender, which can isolate some people, but getting even, when I think about conversations with white men and getting them to that time you felt lonely. And now imagine that every day for someone that starts a new mindset for what I own to ensure, because now I'm connected to it, because I remember feeling that way. So that is a very powerful thing. And I love that. And I was wondering if the thesis was one of the weird things next to your bed, because you said you knew exactly where it was. But if not, I would love to read it at some point.
Next to my bed, thank goodness. Okay, like you don't need to publish this because people can misread, but mine was like called something like the whiteness and the vicious cycle of racism, and it kind of went into all that.
That's great. Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, it's fascinating. I think that's something at some point that should be like a fireside chat and just hear more, because it sounds like some good nuggets and how it's carried into your work and how we all should be thinking about that with our work. Um, can you recount a time when your routine or habits were disrupted in a way that led you to discover a new aspect of yourself?
Yes. And I was thinking, well, it's more of like an affirmation, I would say. So is
Mhm.
that just,
Yeah, that works too. Yes, absolutely.
so when I moved to Chicago, um, it's 24. So, oh my God, like 25 years ago. Crazy.
Flies by.
Uh, it's nuts. Who would have ever thought that? But anyway, I was moving here from California, and I flew into Midway, which is, I don't know, I just seemed to fly into Midway when I first moved here, because I had an interview. But anyways, I flew into Midway, and it must have been, I don't know exactly what time it was, but I arrived. I had enough stuff that I could pull my own stuff, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the train downtown because I want to feel like what it's like to ride the train. I haven't done that before, and I was staying at a like in a temporary housing scenario right downtown.
Mm.
So I walk through Midway. I take the long tunnel ride or walk, through the parking lot, whatnot. I get to the CTA station. I go on in. I go upstairs. And next thing you know, I realize that the orange line stops running at a certain time, like, which I never, whatever. I was like, oh shit. Okay, it stopped running. Okay, I didn't know that. I was like, no problem. I'll just go back to the airport and I will get a taxi. But oh no, and I don't know if they fixed this, but you could not actually go back to the airport like to get a taxi. There was no way to do that. So I was like, okay, that's not cool. All right, so maybe I can get a bus or a taxi to get, and no, that wasn't happening either. So I was like, okay, great. This is my second time in Chicago because before I went for the interview, I'm in Midway. I don't exactly know where I'm at in the city. This is before we had all these super duper smartphones. And I
Mhm,
was like,
mhm,
that's so
mhm.
cool. I'm gonna get on a bus. I'm gonna ask every bus which bus goes downtown because some bus is going downtown. I know it. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a bus. So I talked to the different drivers and I said, do you go downtown? Yes, I do. I said, okay. So I get on the bus and I remember I look around me, I see that, and I wasn't dressed that nicely, but I had all this jewelry on. I was like, yeah, jewelry coming off, all this, let's just be like everybody. Like the big thing was like, look how fast I was able to adapt and blend in. I was like, adapt, okay, I'm a bus. Cool, cool. So I was riding and riding. It was just taking forever. I remember there were these two ladies who were twins, who were nuns. I think they're like famous people because I did see them one other time, like on the north side, just
Mhm.
rolling. I was like, the black lady nuns. But anyway, I'm like watching people get on. I'm starting to get kind of freaked out because it's getting dark. We're going through some sketchy areas. I don't know. I was like, excuse me, sir, are you sure that you're gonna get downtown and about when is that gonna happen? And can you please, oh, because the problem was I had to catch another bus and like I didn't know where I was going. So anyway, long and short, just in this portion of the story, and I'll tell you my takeaway. Eventually I rode next to the bus driver and he happened to see a cab, which at that time, and hopefully it's not too true now, not a lot of cabs around. He's like, you are so lucky the cab just happened to be there. But he flagged it down and I got in the cab and the cab took me the rest of the way. Um, but anyways, it was I was like, okay, it was an affirmation of my adventurous spirit to go and be like, yeah, let's do this. And then I was like, you know what? I'm glad that I know how to adapt because, this did not go the way that I had planned and I needed to ride the bus and I didn't want to stand out in a way where people wanted to look at my suitcases and take all my stuff. So that was definitely my plan in a big way. And I was like, yeah, I'm good with adapting. This is great, and I made it and it's all good. And like I said, I did see those two black nun ladies at another point because who could ever forget twins that are nuns on a bus? Like, anyway.
Like that was spiritual affirmation in itself as well.
I was
Okay.
like, I did think I was being protected. I was like, there's nuns on the bus, so I'm gotta be good.
That's, I mean, it goes to sometimes too when we think about discovering new aspects. As I think about some of the other stories that I've heard, it does get down to a point of I have to do this, right? It's not even a choice of adaptation, but that I have to do this in discovering or affirming an aspect of yourself because you have no choice. And so what do you
Yeah.
do when you have no choice? What does that look like for you?
Mhm.
That's incredible. Wow. I was fully engaged in that story. All the details. I'm envisioning you taking off your jewelry, all of that. That's good stuff.
Good.
Oh, goodness. Thankfully, it wasn't nighttime when you flew in. It was getting dark, but it wasn't dark.
It was getting dark and it was dark by the time I was on the bus. So I was a little having a hard time seeing around me and taking in the environment and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. And like you said, we didn't have the smartphones that could tell you where you are and you can pull up Google Maps to affirm where you're going and all that good stuff. My last question for you, what's a small everyday action that you do to affirm your sense of identity and authenticity?
When I think about the everyday actions that I take, I'm like, I wouldn't say that I'm overly intentional about, let me affirm myself and my identity. And that being said, part of what I do in my routine is every night before I go to bed, I take my light purple silk scarf and I wrap it around my hair, and tie it up lovingly,
Mhm.
with a twist at the bottom and a knot on the top because I want to make sure that I'm taking care of my crown.
Yes.
Um, Keeping it nice and wild and healthy and free. So every single night, that's what I do. And my daughter's got her bonnet. She's in the bonnet club right now. But we gotta take care of ourselves and our hair and our crown, you know. So that's an every night thing. And I get all upset because I do have a favorite. It's the purple one. When I had to like revert to one of the other ones because I can't find the purple one.
I think that we have to clean it and you didn't. I think about me and I didn't finish the laundry, so it's still downstairs. So I got to get the other.
Oh my God, no. Or my daughter was playing some game and she put it somewhere. And I'm like, where? Oh my God, where is it? And why can't I find another one to buy? Like, this is so irritating.
Right. I get multiple purple bonnets. I love that though. And what you said about it in taking care of your crown, the words that you use, I feel like are a common theme in your stories of affirming being nice and wild and in our freedom and free. And that's kind of something that's been throughout. You've used different words and how it's showed itself, but that's been a theme in who's inspired you in your adventures and in how you discovered aspects of yourself, how you live, what's driven the people and how they connect in these maybe wild moments to now have more empathy and connect to others in community, and how you take care of your hair at night and why you take care of your hair the way you do at night. So
Oh, thank you, Kalila. I mean, I know how deep and like I have that sense of you, but it's one thing to have a sense and then to experience you in in one of your elements, I should say. So just appreciating you for taking the time with me and the others as well. Just appreciating you with me right now.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you letting us into all these incredible layers of who you are. Of course, it's still not all of who you are, but definitely drop some nuggets that I know will inspire our members and just inform them. And so when they talk to you, they can ask you about your sash from your wedding dress or maybe your purple bonnet, and if you know where it is, or definitely your thesis. I want to know more about your thesis. So thank you
Oh, Lord. Okay.
allowing us to get behind your bio today, Kendra. It's so greatly appreciated.
Oh, thanks, Kalila. Thanks for all that you do. And it's been a pleasure.